everyone, welcome back to Books and Backbone. I'm Donna Harris, CEO of Bookkeeping Made Simple. You might have noticed that we didn't have an episode go out yesterday, and that was because I was sick in bed. It was not fun. But this today we're going to go deep on the exit. Not because I think you're ready to sell necessarily, but because the decisions you make in the next 12 months are either building towards an exit or building away from one. And most business owners don't know which one they're doing. Today, I want to talk about 5 specific things that make a business more valuable to a buyer, to a banker, to a partner, and frankly, to you as the person that's running the business every day. Because here's the thing I want you to hold on to through this entire episode. Every single one of those things, every single one of these 5 things we're going to talk about is going to make your business easier and better to run today. Not just more valuable at exit. Right now, more profitable, more manageable, more resilient. The exit is the destination, but this week we're talking about today is the journey, and the journey has its own rewards. Now, before I get into the 5 things, I want to make the case for why now is the right time to be having this conversation. Even if you have no intention of selling in the near term, a buyer needs 3 years of clean, auditable financial records, which means that if you want to sell in 3 years, that time has to start now. The books you keep this year are part of the financial package that a buyer will scrutinize in 2029. But it goes beyond the books. The systems you document this year, the recurring revenue you build this year, the team you develop this year, all of these things take time to build and time to prove. A business that has had documented systems for 6 months is a different acquisition than one that's had them for 3 years. The work that makes a business more valuable is not a project you do when you're ready to sell. It's the result of building well, consistently, over time, with the clear picture of what you're building toward. Start now, not because the exit is imminent, but because the work is worth doing. So the first thing that makes a business more valuable at sale time is the one I talk about almost every episode, and I make no apologies for repeating it, because it's the foundation of everything else. Clean, reconciled books maintained consistently. Not caught up for tax season, not cleaned up when the buyer expresses interest. Current, every month, reconciled to the bank statements, with no unexplained balances and no deferred decisions sitting in suspense accounts. Here's why this matters, specifically for business value. A buyer's accountant's going to go through your financials. They're going to verify revenue trends. They're going to verify expense categorization, verify that what's on the books matches what's in the bank accounts. If the books can't be verified, if there are reconciliation gaps, unexplained balances, inconsistent categorization, the buyer can't establish what the business actually earned. And if they can't establish value of what it earned, they can't calculate what it's worth. Clean books don't just make the due diligence process easier. They make due diligence possible. Without them, there's no deal, regardless of how good the underlying business is. So all those people you hear about that sold their business to Google for millions and millions of dollars, they had clean, reconciled books. Okay? The business owner who has maintained clean books for 3 consecutive years walks into a sales process from a position of strength. They have nothing to hide and nothing to explain away. What they show the buyer is what's real. That's the foundation. Everything else gets built on top of it. The second thing that improves your multiple is recurring revenue. So a business where a significant portion of the revenue is contractual and predictable. Monthly retainers, annual subscriptions, long-term service agreements. By the way, this is why software as a service took off. Is worth more than a business with the same total revenue coming from one-time transactions. This is why software as a service took off. This is why some of the new cars like BMW have different features hidden behind a paywall, because if they can get that recurring monthly income, it actually improves the value of the business. Well, why? Well, when a buyer acquires a business, one of the biggest risks is revenue. Clients leave, customers leave, relationships may or may not transfer. The revenue the seller had isn't necessarily the revenue the buyer had or will have. Recurring revenue addresses that risk directly. If 70% of your revenue is under annual contract with existing clients, a buyer can look at those contracts and project what revenue they'll have after closing with reasonable confidence. They're not just buying the business, they're buying a whole revenue stream. That predictability has a price. Businesses with high recurring revenue consistently command higher multiples than businesses with comparable total revenue that comes from one-time engagements. Well, what does this mean practically? If you're doing project-based work with no ongoing engagement, consider what a retainer or a maintenance agreement looks like for your clients. Not every client will convert, and not every business is good for this. But the ones who do, and the businesses who can, are building your recurring revenue base. So that's what's building your multiple. So this would be things like if you're a home seller, that's why a lot of home sellers now put their homes in an HOA to get that recurring monthly revenue. If you're a software company, you probably want to be selling software as a service for monthly recurring revenue rather than a one-time, you bought the software, this is your thing. This is why, by the way, a lot of models are going to this. Okay, whether you like it or not, that's what buyers are buying, and so that's what business owners are choosing. The third thing that improves business value is documented systems and processes. A business that operates from documented systems where the way things are done exists somewhere other than the founder's head transfers more cleanly than one that doesn't. So here's the problem most small business owners have. The founder knows how everything works. Okay? They know how to onboard a new client, how to handle a difficult conversation, how to produce a monthly report, how to resolve the recurring problem with particular software integration. That knowledge is real and valuable, but it lives in one person usually. And when that person walks out the door at closing, all that knowledge walks right along with them. A buyer pricing that risk into their offer is not being unreasonable. They're being rational. If the business stops working when the founder leaves, the founder's departure is now a catastrophic event, and the purchase price will reflect that. Documentation, though, changes the calculus. We have been documenting all of our systems at Bookkeeping Made Simple partly for this reason, and partly because I have to take a couple of weeks off at the end of September. So I need everything documented and something that's ready to train, something that my employees can go and pull and look at, so they're not wondering, how did Donna do this in the past? They can go and there's a document. Okay. When the way things have been done, the way things should be done, is written down, then a new employee or a new owner can pick up an operations manual and understand how the business runs. That key person risk drops considerably. The business isn't dependent on any single person, including the founder. You don't need to document everything at once. Start with 3 to 5 processes that only you know how to do and what would cause the most disruption if you weren't there. Okay, in my case, for a lot of things, it's the sales process. I have an appointment setter, but nobody knows how to do the sales calls but me. Nobody knows how to do the pricing but me. So I'm putting all of this into documentation. Write them down, create the checklist, build the system. That work has value today. Believe me, when you are facing, I'm having some surgery done at the end of September, and I want to make sure that my business and my clients are taken care of, even if I'm not the one taking care of them. Okay? So that way, nothing depends on any one single person, including me. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about what's going to happen as we get closer to surgery day, but that's one of the things I'm looking at. What if I get sick? What if I get sick long term? What if something happens and I cannot continue this business? Personally, well, do I have staff that's able to do it? Do I have my documentation? Do I have my processes and procedures written down? Is it an actual process that someone can go back and point to and say, our operations manual says not to do that or to do that? Okay, so like I said, you don't have to document everything at once. Once you build the system, though, that work has value today. It frees you from being the only person who can do certain things. And that has value in an exit where it signals to a buyer that the business can operate without you. Related to documented systems is team depth. And this is worth discussing separately because the impact on business value is significant. A business where the owner is the only person who can do the critical work is a high-risk acquisition. A business with a capable, trained team in place, people who know the clients, know the systems, and can deliver the work without the founder present, is a lower risk acquisition. A lower risk means a higher multiple. That doesn't mean you need a large team. My team right now is exactly 2 people besides me. It means the people you have need to be genuinely capable and not entirely dependent on you for direction, quality control, and client relationships. The owner who's been the only point of contact for every client for 10 years has a team depth problem that the buyer will price into the offer or uses a reason to walk away entirely. The owner who has built a team with real client relationships, real institutional knowledge, and real capability to deliver the work without constant founder involvement has built something that transfers. Think about your team right now. If you stepped away for 90 days, what would happen? The answer to that question is a pretty good proxy for what a buyer's accountant will conclude when they evaluate key person risk in your business. The 5th thing that improves business value is something most people don't expect to be on this list, and that is financial clarity at the owner level. Specifically, the business owner who can walk into a due diligence conversation and answer questions about their financials with confidence, who knows their SDE, which we've talked about in other episodes, who knows their gross margin, which we've talked about in other episodes, who knows their cash flow picture and their receivables position, who can explain the financial history of the business without hesitation or deflection. That confidence is a data point. It signals to a buyer that the business has been run with intention, that the financial picture reflects real decisions made by someone who understood the numbers and used them. Buyers are evaluating more than the financials when they go into due diligence. They're evaluating the owner. The owner who fumbles through financial questions, who has to call their accountant to answer basic questions about their own business, who hasn't looked at their own P&L in 6 months, that owner is telling a buyer something. And what they're telling them affects the offer. The owner who knows their numbers, who's been using them, who can discuss them with confidence, is telling a different story, and that story supports a higher multiple. Financial clarity is not just a management tool, it's a valuation tool. So let's pull these 5 things together because I want you to notice something. Every one of them makes your business run better today. Clean books give the financial picture you need to make better decisions right now. Recurring revenue makes your cash flow more predictable and your business less stressful to manage. Documented systems free you from being the only person who can do certain things. Team depth gives you the freedom to step back without the business wobbling. Financial clarity lets you run the business with intention rather than instinct. None of this is exit prep. It's just good business. The exit, when it comes, is just the moment everything you've built is recognized for what it's worth. So start building it now. And by the way, the exit does not need to be a sale. The exit could be leaving it to your children. It could be a partial sale. It could be that you choose to close it. But these are things that will make your business easier to run right now, which means that if and when the time comes for you to sell it, you can get more money. Start building it now. If you want to talk about where your business stands on any of these 5 dimensions and what to focus on first, I'd love to have that conversation. You can find me at mysimplebookkeeping.com. The contact page is mysimplebookkeeping.com/contact. The first call is free. I'm Donna Harris. This is Focus and Backbone. Build something worth buying and enjoy running it more along the way.